So sure, it's an early start this morning. Welcome. Lovely to see those of you on Zoom and lovely to welcome those of you who are joining on Instagram. I wanted to mix the times up a little bit this week. I mean, firstly, I'm actually going out this evening, amazingly enough, but also just because it's good for us to get out of our comfort zone and try and fit exercise in at different times. If we become too much of a slave to our routine, if our routine then changes, which it does because that's life, it's terribly easy to then get out of the habit of sticking with our exercise. So to try and mix it up a bit and to exercise at different times that are less familiar to us, it just helps us then to keep it as a regular practice. And so many people say to me, oh, I'd love to do more, I just haven't got time. But most of us have really set that alarm half an hour early or whatever it might be. Somebody's just joined on Zoom. Would you be kind enough to make sure you're on mute, please? And we are going to get cracking. I'm going to have one final slurp of my coffee. Yes, it is coffee. Needed it this morning. So what I'm planning to do today is during the week, I've been sort of repeating some of the exercises so that they become a little more familiar, so that not everything is a totally new experience. Some of them today will be familiar, some of them will be slightly newer to you, but bit of a mix up. I want you just to stand, please, at the end of your mat, feet parallel. And we're going to take just a minute to find our breath. I want you to bring one hand to the front of the rib cage, one hand to the back of the rib cage, and just breathe into both hands. Deep breath in and allow your ribs to expand forward and backward. And as you breathe out, press your ribs in, not with your hands, sorry, I mean, pull your ribs away from your hands. I want you to really wake up these abdominals. Do you remember how I talked on Monday about making it audible? So do a deep, full out breath. Not throughout the entire class, but just to connect to your breath. Move your hands to the sides of the ribs and likewise breathe into your ribs here. Breathing out, pull those ribs down and in, and notice as you breathe in that you're not letting your chest lift up and down. You're trying to keep the breath very much centered around here into the middle of the rib cage. Let's do a couple more. One hand to the front, to the back, or both hands one either side. And also this is a way just to connect, just to become present, to stop all the other distractions and to be prepared for the work you've got ahead. So I want you to have your arms now down by your sides, please. Equal weight through both feet. Knees are soft. Take a little nod of your chin. And let's just start with a roll down towards the floor, bringing the weight just slightly out in front of both feet and roll back up. Let's do that one again. So you're going to take a breath in on the way down. And breathe out as you roll up. Think about tilting your pelvis, tucking your tailbone in underneath you. Let's just do that one more time. And then we're going to start to move on from here. Chin tucked in, eye line back towards your knees, sliding your shoulders down as you roll back up. We're going to walk out on the next one. So breathing in as you roll down towards the floor. If you need to bend your knees to get your hands on the floor, so be it. Walk your hands out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring your weight forward into plank. You've got the option of pop it. In fact, let's all just tap the floor with our knees. And then take your knees off the floor. Send your hips to the ceiling. Walk back in. 4, 3, 2, 1. And roll yourself back up. Let's go again. Little nod of your chin. Forward and over and down. Walk it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring your weight forward. So you've got the option of just a tap to the floor with your knees or bring your knees to the floor for a moment. And then hips to the ceiling and walk it back in. Big compound move to wake us up, get us moving. Wake up those muscles. Let's go again. Rolling forward, over, down, walk out. 4, 3, 2, 1. So you may choose to hold a plank here without tapping your knees. You may choose to rest your knees to the floor just for a second. And let's walk it back. Can we do 3 more of these? Restack and stand tall. Breath in as you roll down. Shoulders stay down away from the earth. Do you remember how I've been talking this week about keeping that space between the collarbones? Think about stability as you walk in, walk out, trying not to let your hips sway side to side. Let's just go for 2 more. Walk out, 1, 2, 3, 4 into that plank, shoulders down, strong through that center. And walk it back in. And we're going to just do that one last time. And then we're going to finish in an all fours position. So again, rolling down, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring it forward into plank. And we're going to hold it here. Option 1 with your legs straight. Option 2 with your knees to the mat just for 3, 2, 1. And then bring yourself into 4-point kneeling. Let's just have a release from there. So quick chin to chest, tilt your pelvis and release through the back of the body. Well done. And come into 4-point kneeling. So we did a sort of version of this yesterday with the small weights. I want you to slide one leg along the floor, slide the opposite hand along the floor, and just lift both away. Lower back down, recover. Opposite side. Now, do you remember I've been talking about balancing that tray of glasses? Alternatively, imagine that there's a spirit level resting across your shoulders and another one resting across your hips. I want you to really reach out of your ankle. So as your leg goes away from you, don't lift too high. There's a tendency to take the leg too high. And then what we do is we dip through the spine. We lose that neutral alignment through the pelvis. I want you to really push out of your hip. We're going to just do this one more time on each side. So as you lift your leg, maybe don't lift quite so high, but really reach away. Try and touch the wall behind you with your toes. Let's do this one more time, like so. Back to the center. Do you remember also how I talked about keeping the ribs pulled up and in off the front of your t-shirt? So just sucking those ribs right up and in towards you. Now let's go to diagonal number 1 again. We're going to lift and hold. I'm just going to shuffle back a bit so you can see me better. And you're going, in fact, I'll go into this diagonal. Take your arm out to the side. Keep your leg still and just circle your arm for 6. And 5. Eye line along the floor in front of you. Don't look back at your knees. Look towards the skirting board in front of you. Let's do 2. Keep that leg straight behind you. If you need to pop your foot to the floor, that's an option. Let's reverse the circle. Oh, how are your shoulders feeling after last night's class? Feeling a little bit of fatigue there, to be honest. So option 1, leg stays elevated. Option 2, rest your toes on the floor. Let's just finish that circle. Bring your hand back in underneath you. Bring your knee back in underneath you. And let's go to the opposite diagonal. Lift, take your arm out to the side and circle. We've got 6. 5, keep those hips in line, shoulders in line. 3, 2, 1, and reverse. Now watch that you're not sitting to the outside of the knee that's underneath you. Keep the weight centered. Watch that you're not pressing into the heel of your hand. Press into the pads of your fingers, press into the palm of your hand. And bring it all back home. And from here, I want you just to turn yourself around now, please, and bring yourself down onto your back. And just to recover from there, let's just do a few pelvic tilts, rocking your hips forwards and backwards a couple of times. And maybe roll your head side to side if you like a couple of times. Fantastic work. Okay, good. So what I want you to do is bring leg 1 into tabletop, leg 2 into tabletop, and take your hands to the fronts of both thighs. Deep breath in. And as you breathe out, try and push your legs away from you, but your legs don't move. Relax to breathe in. Breathe out, and again, a press. Now, remember how I've been talking about bottom back ribs heavy. So as you press against your knees, watch your back's not arching up off the floor. Send those ribs down into the mat. Let's do that one a couple more times. Great way to really wake up that whole belt, front and back of the middle of the body, pressing into those knees. And let's just do that one more time. Deep breath in with your out breath, trying to push your knees away from you. Okay, perfect. And relax. I want you to interlink your fingers. Take your hands to the back of your head, leaving your head on the floor to start with. Let's go for our toe taps. Lift 1 and return. Okay, now if this is a little intense, bring 1 foot to the floor and do 6 to 8 on one side and then swap it over. Otherwise, we're working like so. And if you want to take the challenge a little further, lift your head Get your shoulders right up off the floor. Keep your elbows wide. Let your head sit into your hands, but make sure that your shoulders are off the floor. From here, you can lower one leg down as the other leg lifts. So rather than keeping one leg static while the other one lifts and lowers, now you can travel both legs. Let's just go for 8, 7, 6. Those of you working with a single leg will have swapped. Last 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to the center. Bring your knees and feet together. So again, always options. Bring your head back down if you need to. Otherwise, support the weight of your head. Stay with single legs if that's better. Otherwise, we're going for doubles. Double leg toe tap. Elbows are wide. Bottom ribs stay heavy. Breathe in on the way down and breathe out as you return. And again, great work, everybody. Little tap here. Remember bottom back ribs. I know I keep nagging. It's such an easy one to remember as a basic guideline, just to make sure that you're in the correct position. Let's just squeeze a few more out. Watch your shoulders aren't starting to sneak back down to the floor if you're working in this level, but do bring your head down if you need. Let's do 3 and 2. Last one here. And bring your feet to the floor, bring your head to the floor, bring your arms back down. Just wiggle your feet apart and roll up into a bridge. Let's just open up through those hips. Lift your hips towards the ceiling and curl back down. Let's do a couple more of those, please, just to mobilize the spine. And as I say, lengthen out through those hip flexors where they were pretty loaded in that last set. One more like so. All right, and curl back down. So I want you to bring your knees to your chest, take a grip of your shins and lift your head. Try and tuck your head right in behind your knees. We're going to go into our single leg stretch, one leg stretch. Both hands around the shin of one leg. Send the other leg out long. Make sure your hips are in line and press your chest into your knee and swap. And it's a little pulse, 1, 2, swap. Pull it in, 1, 2. Watch your hips stay in line. Think of your waistband. Stay exactly straight. So you're not shortening one side of the waist as you draw your knee in. If you need to take the long leg higher in order to prevent your lower back from going into an arch, then that too is an option. One more on each side. Last one here. And bring your knees back in. If you need to just pop your head to the floor for a moment to recover, go ahead. If you need to keep your head down, that's an option for you. Otherwise, lift your head. And we're going to go into our double leg, but we're going to keep the arms still, just work with the legs. So I want you to lift your arms to the ceiling. Take both legs long and come back in. If that feels a little intense, please go back to the previous exercise, the one leg stretch. And out long. And back in. Can we do 3 more? Shoulders right up off the floor. Alternatively, remember you've got the option of popping your head to the mat. Legs stay together. 1 more. And come back in. Hold it here. Now your legs stay still. Bring your arms to the ceiling. And I want you just to take your arms overhead. Back up 6. Breathe in as your arms go away. Breathe out, return. You can do this with your head on the floor. Well done. Waistband heavy, bottom ribs heavy. 2 more coming up. And then guess what? We're putting it all together. Let's do that 1 more time. Okay, so bring it back home. Give your knees a hug. Get into a lovely rounded shape. You're trying to slightly lift your sit bones. Point your tailbone up towards the ceiling. We're going to take both legs long as our arms go long. Are you ready? We're going to breathe in and recover. Breathe in and recover. Breathe in. Breathe out as you press your knees in. 3 more. And again, last couple coming up. Squeeze those abs. 1 more here. Well done. And bring your head to the floor. Leave your knees as they are. Roll your head side to side a couple of times. Fantastic. And we're going to hit that lateral chain, that side, the muscles down the side of the body. So I want you to open your arms, please, to about 20 past 8, no wider than that. I don't want too much support from the arms. I want the support to come from the middle. So about 20 past 8, knees and feet together. Now we've got the option of tabletop. If that feels a little intense, bring your knees closer towards you and drop your heels a little lower, just to reduce the load that you're supporting. Otherwise, tabletop, both knees up and over to side 1, back to the center and away. Now, Your shoulders stay heavy, both shoulder blades glued to the floor, but you lift up your hip to take your knee across. So that when your knees are to the side, they're exactly in line with each other. So as I take my knees to the right, I need to lift my left hip so my left knee doesn't get left behind. Hope that makes sense. Now you are using your arms, you're pressing into both arms, pressing into your shoulders. Shoulders stay heavy, but just visualize how the ribs sit as still as possible as the hips travel. You're allowing the hip to lift, but as your left hip lifts, keep your left rib cage heavy. Okay, take the ribs down into the side on the down into the floor on the right side as the right hip lifts. Can we just do that one more time each way? Watch you're not perching on your fingers, hands stay flat. Now, as your knees come over to the left this next time, I want you to keep going all the way over and come up onto your elbow. You're onto your left side, your elbow underneath your shoulder. Okay, upper hand to your hip, and we're going to a side bend. We're going to lift and lower for 3, lift and lower for 2. Do you remember we did this one the other day? And lower. Now bring it down. You're very welcome to stay here. Otherwise, you're going to come up onto a straight arm. Okay, take your upper leg long, leave your lower leg where it is, and again, lift. Now this time, lower part way and lift. If you choose to, take your arm away and lift and hold. So we've got the option of here. We've got the option of here. Now take that lower leg away. So you choose the level you want to work at. And if you're here, you're not going to go quite the way down. All the way up, but not quite all the way down. Let's do another 3 and 2. Great work. And 1, I want you to hold it here. Bring that knee back in, bring that knee back in, and come up and over. Okay, so I want you over onto your back, and I want you to take your knees over to the right. So we're still keeping the focus on the left side, both hands to the back of your head, knees pointing to the right, head to the ceiling, lift, crunch, and lower. So your chest stays center, your elbows stay wide, your knees are pointing to the right side of the room, and you're still working that same waist side, same side of the waist that you were doing in the side plank earlier. So let your head feel really heavy into your hands and squeeze into your waist. And again, well done. Breathe out as you lift, breathing into those ribs. Breathe in as you lower. And again, let's do another 4. And for 3, great work. 2, and 1, and relax. And I'd like you from here to bring yourself up to sitting. Take your feet over to the side that you were just working. Okay, where am I going? I'm going the wrong way. And just stretch it out. So I'm not mirroring you at the moment. Sorry, I'm stretching my left side, which is the right to you. So to make it easier for you to understand, I'd be stretching here so that I do mirror you. Okay, come into a seated position. We're going to do a little bit of rolling. I want you to bring your heels right in towards your sit bones and rest on your toes. Do check behind you. Make sure you haven't shuffled up the mat and you're not going to bang into any furniture. Try to rest on your toes. Keep your knees tucked in and then just let your toes come off the floor and just roll away and back, just up to the shoulders and back. Squeeze your knees together. Try to keep your heels right into your sit bones. So Joe Pilates always said, heels to seat, heels to seat. Pull those heels right in and come back up and find your balance. Now, you are very welcome to have a really strong grip here, but if you want to give yourself a bit more challenge, take your arms away, but watch that your heels don't pull away from you. And again, roll away. Well done. Roll away. Let's do 3 more. Watch those heels don't sneak out. And a couple more here. 1 more. And come back up. Now find your balance. Bring your toes onto the floor. Take your hands into behind your knees. And you're sitting just behind your sit bones. And can you just send one leg out long without moving through the spine? Drop those shoulders. Bend it back in. And the opposite leg. So you're sitting just behind your sit bones. Let's go singles again. Don't worry if your leg doesn't fully straighten, but try not to lose the upper body. Okay. Now stay with singles if you feel that's better for you. Otherwise, how about you take away double leg and return, drop those shoulders. So you're slightly rounded through your lower back, keeping that lift through the chest. And again, very welcome to stay with singles. All right, let's do 3 and 2. And we're going to hold the last one. So if you're holding a single leg, we're going to do it twice. You'll work once, one leg, and then swap it over. Hold it here. And can you take your hands away? Drop those shoulders down. Hold 3, 2, 1. Take hold and bend your knees. Double leg or single leg, 3. So needless to say, if you're still working with a single leg, which is absolutely fine, you're going to hold the opposite leg here this time. Otherwise, it's double leg. Take your hands away. If you're on a single leg, you could still hold on to here, okay? 2, 1, and recover. Fabulous. I'm going to come onto my opposite side. You're working, I'm going to go into our side plank. So we're going to start here, elbow under the shoulder, okay? And we're just going to lift and lower for 3, and lift, lower for 2, lift, lower for 1. Stay here if that suits you. Otherwise, come up onto your straight arm, okay? And you're going to take your upper leg out long, and we're going to lift from here, 3. And again, 2, taking that upper arm away if that suits. And 1, stay here if that suits you. Otherwise, lower leg out long, and it's just a smaller dip down so you don't go all the way to the floor on this one. Let's do another 3 here. And again, squeeze into that waist. Don't make your shoulder do all the work. Really pull up into your ribs. 2 more. And your last one here. Superb. Bring that lower knee in. Bring that upper knee in. And we're going to come down onto the floor. So you're going to take your knees away to the left side. Hands to the back of your head. Elbows stay wide and lift. Squeeze up into your waist. Little crunch. And lower. And again, squeeze. Squeeze up into that waist there. Well done. Fantastic. And again, crunch. Let's do 6 and 5. Last 4. 3. Well done, everyone. And 2. And 1. And I want you to bring your knees to the center. Leave your head on the floor and come back into that double leg tabletop. Shoulders relaxed. Just turn your head side to side. Just a couple of times. Okay. Back to the center, arms to the ceiling, shoulders are heavy. We're going to take one arm on the opposite leg. We did this one last night. And return. And extend. And return. Option 1, leave your head on the floor. Option 2, should you wish, bring your head and shoulders away. Just a great way to reconnect. It's a very familiar move. It's a pretty straightforward one to understand, but it really does tick all the boxes. And again, let's do a couple more on each side. Pushing your heel away, just to fire those quads up a little bit more, and then you can point as you come back in. Let's do 1 more on each side. Well done. And come back in, and I want you to take hold of the back of your knees, roll yourself up to sitting. I'm just going to twizzle around. Better for me facing this way, more familiar this way. Okay, now by all means keep a hold of the backs of your legs. We'll start here. We're then going to progress to taking the arms away. Little nod of your chin, and I want you just to roll off your sit bones into a rounded spine and roll back up. And again into a rounded spine and roll. Now watch your knees don't wobble in and out. And again. Now if you want to keep your hands here, that's completely fine. Otherwise, your arms are out long. Okay, and back. We're going for 3 more, and then we're just going to add a little bit more to this one. And 2. So make sure that you move through the spine, curl your spine away, and roll up. Okay, now roll down and hold a static pose. If you need to, you're going to have one hand to the back of your leg. Let's just work with the left arm. So if you choose to, right hand to the back of your leg, left arm, you're just going to lift and lower for 3, and lift, and lower for 2, and again lift, and lower. Let's swap arms, so you can pop your hand here if you need to. Lift, lower for 3, so you can support with the opposite side if you need. Lower for 2, lift, lower for 1, roll up and just take a stretch. Well done. Okay, sit tall. We're going to curl away again. We're going for 6, drop those shoulders. And again, really feel how you're rolling through the spine. And 5. Still here if you need to, that's completely fine. 4. Last 3 here, well done. And 2. Okay, roll away and hold it. So again, option to hold the back of your leg with your right arm, left arm out to the side. Open and close. And again, doesn't it hit the waist there? And again, open and close. Let's go to side 2. Open and close for 3. Well done. Open and close for 2. One more coming up. Open and close for 1. Hold it. Hold it. You're welcome to hold the backs of your legs. Otherwise, arms are here. Can you lift leg 1? Can you lift leg 2 and find your balance? Hold, 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 hold. Can you from here go into toe taps? Hold here if you need to. We're just going to tap and swap and swap and swap. Let's do 8, 7, well done. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, how are your abs? Mine are absolutely howling at me. Feet to the floor and have a stretch. Fantastic, well done. We've got one more move to do, and then I'm going to let you go. So bring yourself up and over. Let's just stretch it out there. Make sure there was no hangover into that lower back, chin to chest, making yourself as rounded as you can. And relax. Well done. So what I want you to do, please, is come down onto the floor and come onto your elbows. Now, what I see a lot when people go into a low plank, they do this, they hold their hands and they really hunch the shoulders, totally switch off any sort of muscular support through the chest, through the shoulders, through the upper back. So your arms are here, you stay open through the chest, okay? Hands on the floor, elbows under shoulders, legs out long. All right, now you're just going to lift your hips a few inches, but what I want you to do is make sure you're really tucking your bottom underneath you. You're trying to pull your tailbone right up between your legs. Shoulders, slide them down. Slightly pull your collarbones apart. If this suits you, stay here, but otherwise tuck in your toes and take your knees off the floor without letting your hips lift any higher. Just hold. Can you hold it for 3 full breaths? Remember yesterday we practiced the 100 breath? Breathing in 5, breathing out 5. And then come out of it in reverse. So bring your knees to the floor, toes out long, and lower back down. Absolutely doesn't go into your back and your shoulders, not if you prep. I always say, put the car into gear before you try and pull away. Think about what you're trying to achieve. We're going to do one more and then I promise you we've done. Shoulders are down, pull your collarbones slightly apart, get the upper back, hit those traps. Okay, toes out long and just float your hips just a couple of inches or so away from the floor. Stay there if that works for you today. That's completely fine. Otherwise, tuck in your toes, take your knees off the floor. Give those glutes, give that bum a little squeeze if you need to. 3 full breaths. Shoulders stay down. Try and pull your ribs away from the floor. Imagine you're trying to slightly push your rib cage towards the ceiling, but not your back. Just pulling your ribs up and away. And then coming out of it in reverse, knees to the floor, toes to the floor, and relax. And from here, push yourself up. Keep your arms straight. Let your hips drop. Lift up through the chest. Toes out long. Gently bring yourself back down. We're going to come back into that one. If it suits you, take your hands a little wider. If your triceps are a little bit fatigued, otherwise push up and away. Let your hips come off the floor if they want to. And I want you to see how you're pulling your collarbones as far away from your hip bones as you can. Don't let this upset your lower back. If that feels too intense, then bend your elbows, come down a little lower. Superb work. Okay, from here, just push yourself back up. And we're going to come into a kneeling position. All right, arms to the ceiling and stretch. So a half body stretch. Reach right the way up. And think about pushing your hips slightly forward, lift up through your chest. You're not arching your back. You're just trying to pull your collarbones away from your hips. Reach your arms out and away behind you. And bring yourself back down. And we're going to come out of it the way we went into it. So back to 4-point kneeling. Let's have a little cat stretch here. Chin to chest, tilt your pelvis. Relax. Well done. Now tuck in your toes. Bring your hips to the ceiling. And we're going to finish the way that we started. So I want you to walk your hands back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Roll yourself up. Did anyone say finish? Who said that? They were lying. We've got 3 to go. Roll down. Walk out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring your weight forward. Option to pop your knees to the floor. Send your hips high. Walk it back in. 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll back up. And this time, keep going. Take your arms to the ceiling. We've really nearly done. We're only 2 away from finishing. Promise this time, not lying. Roll it down. Walk out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Full plank or 3/4. And send your hips to the ceiling. Press your heels towards the floor as you walk your hands back. Roll yourself back through, and again, bring your arms to the ceiling. Let's do this one more time. Forward, over, down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring yourself forward, strong through that center. And again, hips to the ceiling. Walk it back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Roll yourself back up, come up to standing, and I want you just to circle your arms for 3. And 2. And 1. Relax your arms down. Just grow an inch taller. Think about very slightly pushing the back of your head towards the wall behind you. Just slightly to avoid being too far forward. Just slightly bring your head back. Keeping that alignment, just turn and look over one shoulder. Bring your head to the center. Now look, it's only 7:30. Go and have a coffee, get on with the rest of your day, feeling empowered and a little bit smug. You're amazing. Thank you for joining me so bright and early. This one will be going on to YouTube as well as on the gram. Lovely to see you. Thank you. And tomorrow, a little bit slower. Tomorrow is 7 o'clock. It'll be a bit of a wrap up of what we've been up to and some appropriate stretching and mobility. But otherwise, thank you for joining me. And I really hope you enjoyed it. Anything you're not sure about, anything that you didn't feel confident with, or it doesn't make sense, or you just want to know a little bit more about it, then do feel free to get in touch with me. And I hope to see you in the morning. But lovely to see you. Thank you.